Welcome back to Regaining the Balance. This is Matt. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Hindu Purana called the Bhavishya Purana. The Puranas are the histories of the Hindu deities. I'll give really quickly read this little intro here because this book has some prophecies regarding the Hebrew Bible and also Jesus and also the coming of Muhammad, Buddha, and even the British occupying India itself. It's a controversial book. A lot of people think that this has been tampered with, but you know what? I'm not so sure about that. And so we're going to take a quick look at the parts that pertain to the Hebrew Bible and the prophecy of Jesus today, and this will be a step-off point for a lot more other types of research that I'll be bringing to you guys that I've been diligently reading since this coronavirus thing broke out. So let's get into this. The Bible and the Bhavishya Purana. The Bhavishya Purana is one of the 18 major Hindu Puranas, histories of the Hindu deities, but the content of the Bhavishya Purana is not just about history past. It also includes prophecies about the future. In fact, the very title Bhavishya means future, and the title Bhavishya Purana should translate as, quote, the history of the future. While Hindu scholars maintain the Purana dates back to 3000 BC, modern scholars are skeptical and consider it to be more recent since it gives particular details of Mughal emperors, and modern events as well. Interestingly, this seems to be the only Hindu text that incorporates some of the biblical information directly into it. It recounts the account of Genesis as a story of the Mlechas. The Purana's narrative is a polemic against non-Sanskrit languages and eulogizes Sanskrit as the purest, and the Mlecha, non-Vedic, barbarian, or foreigner language is corrupted form. Now, I'm actually reading a dissertation right now. It's a 350 page book about this word, its meanings, its origins. It's actually a very interesting book, but you wouldn't be surprised that someone could fill 350 pages about a single word in Sanskrit. So let's just take a quick look in the Wikipedia version of it, just to give you guys a quick understanding. But the Sanskrit word is non-Vedic, which also means barbarian. It's a Sanskrit term referring to a foreign or barbarous peoples in ancient India, as contradistinguished from Aryas. The Mlecha was used by the ancient Aryans originally to indicate the uncouth and incomprehensible speech of foreigners, and extended to their unfamiliar behavior, and also used as a derogatory term in the sense of impure and or inferior people. And I think many of you can guess that there are types of words like that exist today in different languages. So just so you guys know, Mlecha is going to be an important word for us to remember. Keep in mind, I'll keep reminding you guys. I'll probably be back and forth referencing this document, not much less the word itself. So let's get into this part about the Old Testament. At the time, the Kali Purusha prayed to Lord Narayana along with his wife. After some time, the Lord appeared to him and said, "This age will be a good time for you. I will fulfill your desire, having various kinds of forms. There is a couple named Adama and his wife Havyavati. They are born from Vishnu Kardama, and will increase the generations of Mlechas." Saying this, the Lord disappeared, and having great joy, the Kali Purusha went to Nilacha. Now, I just wanted to point out here that the Vishnu Kardama is interesting because the people we know as Phoenicians, that was a term given to them by the Greeks. They called themselves Cadmus or Cadmus, and this is very similar spelling, derivation from the Sanskrit. So just wanted to point that out. Vyasa, now you hear the future story narrated by Sutta Goswami. This is the full story of Kali Yuga. Hearing this, you will become satisfied. In the eastern side of Pradhan city, where there is a God-given forest, which is 16 square yohanas in size, the man named Adama was staying there under the Papa Vriksha, or sinful tree, and was eager to see his wife Havyavati. The Kali Purusha quickly came there, assuming the form of a serpent. He cheated them, and they disobeyed Lord Vishnu. The husband ate the forbidden fruit of the sinful tree. They lived by eating air with the leaves called Udambara. It sounds a little bit like the manna of the Old Testament. After they had sons, and all of them became Mlechas. Adama's duration of life was 930 years. He offered oblations and fruits and went to heaven with his wife. And then his son Virada ruled 160 years. His son Hamuka was devoted to Lord Vishnu, and offering oblations of fruit, he achieved salvation. He ruled 365 years and went to heaven with the same body, being engaged in Malecha Dharma. Now, that's important. We're going to take a quick look at what Dharma means for those of you that don't know. Dharma doesn't have a specific Western terminology, and it depends on which religion you're looking at. So we'll just take a quick touch just so you guys can get a good idea of it. But in Hinduism, Dharma signifies behaviors that are considered to be in accord with Rita, the order that makes life and universe possible, and includes duties, rights, laws, conduct, virtues, and, quote, right way of living, unquote. Buddhism, Dharma means, quote, cosmic law and order, unquote, as applied to the teachings of Buddha, and can be applied to mental constructs or what is cognized by the mind. Buddhism philosophy, Dharma is also the term for phenomena. Dharma in Jainism refers to the teachings of Jina and the body of the doctrine partaking to the purification of moral transformation of human beings. For Sikhs, Dharma means the path of righteousness and proper religious practice. And so essentially for all of these, it really has a lot to do with that universal law, right? The natural law, the law that exists regardless of anything being written down. So just keep that in mind. It's also, but it's wrapped around each religion's sort of theological ideas as well. So when they say Malecha Dharma, they're very specifically saying that this is a religious practice by these foreigners in which they came across when they came into India. Let's see here. So having and this part's interesting because they give them a little, let's say, a positive bump. A lot of times it's a lot of smack talk about the people who aren't Aryans, but here they give them a little bit of a kind of a positive spin a little bit. So having good behavior, wisdom, qualities like a Brahmana, and worship of God, not gods, these things are called Malecha Dharma. The great souls have declared that the Dharma of the Malecha is devotion to God, worship of fire, non-violence, austerity, and control of the senses. The son of Hamuka was Matochila. He ruled for 970 years. His son Lomaka ruled 777 years and went to heaven. His son Noah, ruled for 500 years. He had three sons named Sima, Sama, Bhava. Niyuha was devoted as a devotee of Lord Vishnu. Once the Lord appeared in his dream and said, "My dear Niyuha, please listen. There will be devastation on the seventh day. Therefore, you have to be very quick that you make a big boat and ride in it. O chief of the devotees, you will be celebrated as great king." Then he made a strong boat, which was about 300 feet long, 50 feet wide, and 30 feet high, which if you reference the Old Testament, it's in cubits instead of feet, and it's the exact same numbers. It was beautiful, and continuing, it was beautiful, and all the living entities could take shelter in it. He then himself rode in it, engaged in meditating on Lord Vishnu. Lord Indra called the devastating cloud named Sambartaka and poured heavy rain continuously for 40 days. The whole earth, Bharatvarsa, had merged in the water, and 4 oceans came up together. Only Visala or Badariksarama was not submerged. There were 80,000 great transcendentalists in Visala who joined with King Niyuha and his family. All of them were saved, and everything else was destroyed. At the time, all of the sages praised the eternal energy of Lord Vishnu, being pleased by the prayers of the sages. The Vishnu Maya reduced the waters of devastation. After 1 year, gradually the earth became visible. Under the hill there is a place named Sisina, and the king was situated in that place with other people. Then when the water completely dried up, King Niyuha came back to his place. Sutta Goswami continued, the Malecha king Niyuha became attached to Lord Vishnu, and as a result, Lord Vishnu increased his generation. He created a language fit for the Malechas, unfavorable to the Vedas. He named it Brahmibhasha, or Brahmi language, full of bad words for increasing the degradation of Kali Yuga. Thus I have explained the generation of the Malechas with the indication on their names only. The Malecha language is considered the lowest language because it bears the curse of goddess Sarasvati. Thus I have summarily narrated the rise of the Malecha in Kali Yuga. When the Kali Yuga passed 2,000 years, the dynasty of Malechas increased. They created many paths to grow, and gradually the whole earth became full of Malechas. The spiritual master and teacher of the Malechas was named Musa, which is Moses. He was residing on the banks of the river Sarasvati, and he spread his doctrine throughout the whole world. As soon as Kali Yuga started, the devotion to the Lord and the language of the Vedas were destroyed. Crime is becoming prominent in the holy place of Saptapuri. Gradually, the people of Aryavarta are becoming thieves, hunters, bilas, and fools. The followers of Malecha Dharma in foreign countries are intelligent and have good qualities, whereas the people of Aryavarta are bereft of good qualities. Thus, the ruling of the Malechas is also in Bharata, India, and its islands. So here they're actually out and out admitting the fact that this Malecha religion eventually won over in India itself, and which is probably a connotation to the fact that the Brahmins eventually merged the original Aryans with some of the local gods like Shiva into what we know as Hinduism now. So just to point that out. And then, of course, this guy considers these people Hamuka, the son is Enoch, Matuchila is Methuselah, Nuuha, Noah, Sema is Shem, Sama is Ham, Bava is Japheth, parallel with Noah's genealogy in the book of Genesis. So we'll get into this section here about the prophecy on Jesus. Once upon a time, the subduer of the Sakas went towards Himatunga, and in the middle of the Huna country, Hunadesh, the area near Manasa Sorovara, or the Kailash mountain in western Tibet, so the Himalayas, the powerful king saw an auspicious man who was living on a mountain. The man's complexion was golden and his clothes were white. The king asked, "Who are you, sir?" "You should know that I am Isha Putra, the son of God," he replied blissfully, "and I am born of a virgin. I am the expounder of the religion of the Malechas, and I strictly adhere to the absolute truth." Hearing this, the king inquired, "What are the religious principles according to your opinion?" Hearing this question of Shalivahana, Ishaputra said, quote, "O king, when the destruction of the truth occurred, I, Masiha the prophet, Jesus the prophet, came to this country, or Messiah the prophet, came to this country of degraded people where there are no rules and regulations, finding that fearful, irreligious condition of the barbarians spreading from Malecha Desha, I have taken to prophethood. Please hear, O king, which religious principles I established among the Malechas. The living entity is subject to good and bad contaminations. The mind should be purified by taking recourse of proper conduct and performance of japa, which is meditation on the chanting of the holy names of God," unquote. By chanting the holy names, one attains the highest purity, just as the immovable sun attracts from all directions the elements of all living beings, the Lord of the Surya Mandala, the solar planet, who is fixed and all attractive and attracts the heart of all living creatures. Thus, by following rules, speaking truthful words, by mental harmony and by meditation, O descendant of Manu, one should worship that immovable Lord, having placed the eternally pure and auspicious form of the Supreme Lord in my heart. O protector of the earth planet, I preach these principles through the Malecha's own faith, and thus my name became Isha Masiha. So, Jesus the Messiah. There you go. And here's another little quick thing I wanted to point out, but he talks about the Lord of the Surya Mandala solar planet, and that it definitely gives us a little bit of an interesting sun worship type of thing, connecting it also Surya with the Aryan god itself. So we're going to do some more connecting with that. After hearing these words and paying obeisance to that person who was worshipped by the wicked, the king humbly requested him to stay there in the dreadful land of the Malechas. So apparently he didn't really, and this is going to be like I said earlier, although these Puranas many of these things are about propping up the Vedic Aryans and Sanskrit as the purest and the most pure form of anything, and so we have to keep that in mind always when we're reading a lot of these Vedic texts, and you're going to see these attitudes pop up in different parts of the research that I'll be bringing you guys real soon, because this is something that keeps you can almost follow it as it crosses westwards and as time goes on. But there's this whole thing about the sacerdotal priest classes, which is fascinating, and their attitudes, especially coming from these Indian Vedic writings, it's the parallels of it in other history is just incredible. So, but either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a nice kickoff point to what's coming ahead. There'll be definitely a more Indian type of research videos that I'll be connecting to and doing in the very near future. Because as we do that, then we'll start to move into the Middle East, and we're going to keep following these ideas and these gods and these various peoples and their attitudes and their way of life, the whole 9 yards. And we'll see where we can go. I think you guys will be surprised at some of the stuff that will connect. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And otherwise, love you guys. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.